Hi guys, Tiffany Ofili Porter here, where I discuss all things life after sport. You see who I have in the background. I have Melissa here, my loctician. This is part 7 of our Loctician Speaks series, and we have a good one lined up today. In this video, we are going to be answering 4 very important questions about Sisterlocks that we often get. And here's what they are. Number 1, what you can expect during your first Sisterlocks appointment. Number 2, how to maintain your Sisterlocks at home between retightenings. Number 3, how to handle slippage, breakage, or other Sisterlocks issues. And number 4, top products for maintaining healthy Sisterlocks. So if you want to know the answer to any of these questions, continue watching this video. Medals on her chest, she's proven in greatness, knows no rest, representing the countries with pride she stands. All right, Melissa. So number 1 question that a lot of people, especially people who are in the beginning stages of their Sisterlocks journey, wants to know is what can you expect during your first Sisterlocks appointment? So as a loctician, can you kind of elaborate on what that looks like?
Mm-hmm. So usually when you do that first appointment, it should be your consultation. So during that consultation, your loctician should go over kind of like what your lifestyle is, maybe even health concerns regarding your hair, medications. All the things kind of matter because it tells them what kind of journey you'll be on with your hair and what kind of locks will be right for you.
And you know, it's funny that you say that because kind of taking me back to 2018 when I got my locks installed, and I remember my loctician asking me about my water intake. She asked me about my hormone status. She asked me like all these questions that at the time I did not appreciate.
Like, why are you asking?
Literally. And now kind of that I'm learning more about Sisterlocks and what goes into it behind the scenes, you've kind of explained to me that there is a need for those questions.
There is, because you want to make sure that your client's journey is going to be one that they're going to want to stay on. And so you also want to make sure that they're going to have healthy hair and beautiful locks. So by asking those questions, then you kind of know what techniques you're wanting to use on their hair.
And if you have not seen the previous video in this series where we list the 7 reasons why you should not get Sisterlocks and why a loctician would turn somebody down during that consultation, make sure you refer back to that video. It is very insightful, and I think it would be useful to just have the full picture on the kinds of things that they look for when that consultation happens. So during that consultation, Melissa, they still do the test starter locks, right?
They do. So if you're getting Sisterlocks, so we're going to talk about Sisterlocks. The Sisterlocks and Microlocks are different. And so, of course, with the Sisterlocks, you want to try to follow the Sisterlocks brand. And so they're going to make sure that you get those tester locks put in at your first visit. And they usually are put in maybe about 3 to 5 locks with different patterns, again, to test out which pattern they should use for your hair. And then they also will go through kind of like the history and kind of like how you're supposed to care for your hair. I mean, as you're going through your journey, they'll go through all of that with you too. Microlocks, I would think it should still be on that same line as Sisterlocks, but they may or may not do some of the same things.
Yeah, she's able to kind of speak from a sister loctician's perspective because that is what she's trained in, and that's the brand that we have in both of our heads. So I do remember, and do the tester starter locks have to be in different parts of your hair? Does that not matter?
It doesn't matter. Usually the loctician will kind of choose. So like if she sees a spot in your hair that's troublesome, because there are some people that have trouble spots in their hair, they may choose to put some locks there. Normally they'll choose like the corners around your ear because you would be able to kind of monitor them yourself, you know, while you're going through it, but you still want your clients to be able to style their hair. So you try to put it somewhere to where it's just not so obvious, but the client can also, you know, keep track of them.
Okay, yeah. And that was your experience when you got yours installed. You went through the whole process as well as a loctician, right? Yeah. So after you do that initial consultation, is there like a set amount of time that you have to wait before you can actually do the installation? I don't remember.
They do. So when they give you those most tester locks, you usually are going to wait for about I would say 2 to 3 weeks, just so they can see if there's any slippage that's going on with the rotation pattern that they chose, or just what's going on. Like if there's a lot of bulging, because sometimes it might start bulging out, things of that nature, to where you don't want to use that one. So they usually want them in there for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's useful to know, guys. So if you are like kind of on that beginning part of your journey, you're ready to take the plunge and you want to get Sisterlocks, and you think that you're just going to call somebody, walk in on a Saturday and get them done, it is really important to know what this timeline looks like, just to give yourself realistic expectations on what it's going to be like for you. So after those 2 to 3 weeks, you don't fall into those 7 categories of people who shouldn't get Sisterlocks. You're ready for your installation. Let's talk a little bit about what that looks like, because it can be wildly different for people depending on how much hair they have and their loctician. So generally, like, how was your installation process for your Sisterlocks?
So when you go through that, when you're getting your installation, it varies on how long it may take you, because again, your density and your length, all of that stuff matters when you're getting Sisterlocks. So it may take you 8 hours if your hair is like short and don't take very long to do, or it might take you up to 2 to 3 days. I know it took me I did 2 days of 8 hours to get my installation done, and I had like 6 inches of hair at that time. So it all varies. I always say when you come in for those installation appointments to make sure that you come comfortable.
Yes.
Wear layers, make sure you bring plenty of things for you to drink and eat, just so that you're comfortable.
Yes. And again, we both have Sisterlocks, slightly different experiences. So for me, when I got my establishment of my locks, I did it over 2 days. And I want to say it was like 10 to 12 hours per day. And I had 2 people working on my head. I had like a master consultant and I had her protege, her trainee. Mm-hmm. So maybe she wasn't as quick as the master consultant, right. But imagine that, 2 people, 2 days, 12 hours per day. And it makes sense now, as Melissa says, I have 1 million locks in my hair.
High density. High density.
And it takes 6 to 7 hours for my retightnings. And again, it's not because Melissa is slow. So just have that expectation in your mind when you are going to these appointments, because it could very well take you 3 days to get your locks installed, and you want to just be prepared. Come with food, come with water, come comfortable, like Melissa said, because it certainly can be a process. Now, one that I would do over and over again. I don't regret it, but it's just good to know what you're getting yourself into.
And then I need to just back up one second, because I forgot about when we were talking about the consultation parts. You want to make sure when you come to a consultation that you come with your hair out. You want to have your loose hair out, because your loctician is going to look at it and examine your hair texture and what your strands of hair are actually looking like. I did leave that part out, and that's important to know.
That is extremely important to know, because somebody might overlook that and just assume, oh, it's all natural. I have my cornrows in, or I'm just going to take off my wig and I have like a protective style underneath. And it's like, no, the whole point is not only to assess the health and the state of your scalp, but also your strands of hair.
Correct. We need to know what kind of texture your hair has, what kind of curl pattern you have, because if you got loose curls, then we need to give a tighter lock pattern. If you have tighter curls, then it can be a little looser. So it matters.
And density, and even you talked about shaft being smooth versus rough. Yep. There's so many things that goes into Sisterlocks that the owner, Dr. Caldwell, really just did a fantastic job of doing her research and building this incredible brand. By the way, I think Melissa and I were chatting that our next video might be the science behind Sisterlocks and why your hair grows so quickly with Sisterlocks, and both of us being in the science field, me being a pharmacist, her being a nurse. This is right up our alley. So let me know down in the comments if you think that would be an interesting video that you would like to watch, because we can definitely make that happen on the next installation of Loctician Speaks. So number 2, how to maintain your Sisterlocks at home between retightnings. Now we're going to kind of talk about what you have to do at the beginning stages versus what you have to do once your locks are established and mature like ours.
So when you originally first get your locks installed, it's very, very, very important to follow the instructions that your loctician gives you. So with Sisterlocks, the typical instructions that you are given are for you to make sure that you braid and band your hair when you're getting ready to wash it. So that means you're literally braiding it down. You want to make sure that you still leave space for you to stick your fingers, under there so you can clean your scalp. And then you want to tuck your ends. And you definitely want to make sure you tuck your ends so that your hair doesn't start unraveling and come loose. So when you first get your install, the maintenance of your hair is all about keeping your locks installed so that they don't slip and come out.
Yes, and that is so incredibly important. Just a couple of things I wanted to piggyback off of that. When she says braid your hair down, she means in sections. So it's going to be like a bunch of braids all throughout your head. And then when she says tuck the bottom in, you'll be using like a rubber band to kind of hold it in place to make sure that it's not loose and just doesn't like unravel while you're washing your hair.
And your loctician will go through and actually demonstrate those things and actually show them to you.
Yes.
So they shouldn't leave you hanging.
And be a good client. Don't be like me and not follow directions, because I definitely was not the most compliant Sisterlock client initially, but I've gotten better and I'm awesome now. It just took me a little while to get there. But after your locks have established, for me...
Hold on, before we even go there, because remember we're talking about the slippage and stuff. So not only do we want to make sure we braid and brand, they're going to tell you, because when you're going through this process, when you first get them installed, and we come from putting all these products and stuff in your head. Now we come into a very dry style. So with this dry style, your head is going to start, your scalp is going to start shedding, those, I guess like that oil and stuff that you used to have. So your hair starts to become very itchy. You're not going to want to put more oils on your hair. So you're going to stay away from all of those oils, because again, that's going to stop your hair from actually being able to mature or to lock. So we're going to stay away from the oils. And then you're going to spray water on your head. So you just kind of mist your hair and your scalp with water. Some people like to add the rose water. You can do that too as well, but plain distilled water works just as fine to help with all that itchiness that you're going to start experiencing in the beginning.
That is such a fantastic point, one that I even forgot because I've had locks for so long, so I'm so far past that immature lock stage. But you're so right. One of the biggest things I had to adjust to with Sisterlocks is literally saying bye-bye to about 95% of the hair products that I once used when I was a loose natural. So no, you're not going to be oiling your scalp or greasing your scalp or oiling your shaft or using leave-in conditioners or doing all these things, particularly in the beginning, like Melissa said, because you don't want to spend all of this time and money to get your hair established and then they begin to unravel because you're not following the directions and your hair is not mature enough to be able to handle all of that product. And then it can also lead to buildup, and it's just, there's a reason why they have these recommendations for Sisterlocks. So other than the braiding and banding, not using a million products on your hair in the beginning, is there anything that you can remember at the very beginning stages? Oh, the swimming and going.
Yep, the swimming. So that was just another, because I remember you mentioning
yes.
that. Yeah, and then if you're a person who works out a lot and you have heavy sweating in your hair, you might want to braid and band before you start working out, because that sweat is gonna, start bringing them out.
The whole point, exactly. The whole point is that you want to encourage the locking process in those initial stages. So if you're going swimming every single day, your hair is going to naturally want to revert to its pre-locked state. And that's probably part of the reason why she asked me on my level of activity, if I swim a lot. All these questions that felt a little bit intrusive at the time served their purpose during that consultation.
I'm just getting locked.
Right.
And we want to make sure they stay in.
Exactly. So there is a reason why your loctician is asking you these questions. She wants you to have the best possible outcome from this experience. Exactly. So in the beginning stages, kind of once you get over that hump and your hair has established, we'll get into products as I think the fourth question that we're going to talk about. But once your hair has established, you no longer have to braid and band. You can go swimming. You can wash your hair every day if you want, and all of these things, right, Melissa?
Yeah, but I wouldn't wash my hair every day. But you could. I mean, I just wouldn't. You just have extremely dry hair. But yes, you can start doing all of that, because at that point, you're no longer worried about the slipping.
And although I think the recommendation is to still kind of stay away from too many hair products, so not necessarily using heavy oils and leave-in conditioners, but if you have a super dry spot, once your hair has established, it's okay to add a little bit of oil here and there to help with that moisture, right?
Yeah. And then too, because you're making me just thinking about that. When you're initially going to go get your hair installed, and if you're the person who likes to dye their hair, you want to get your hair dyed before you go get it installed, because you're not going to be able to dye your hair for at minimum at least a year. But I would say 2 as a great recommendation.
And remember how I told you guys I wasn't the most compliant Sisterlock client? I did not follow that recommendation. I wanted to go bright blonde when I first got my hair done. I think after my initial follow-up appointment where they did my first retightening, I went and dyed my hair. Didn't braid and band it. It was like, and when I tell you I'm going to try to see if I can find photos. The whole perimeter of my hair essentially unraveled during that process. And my loctician, when I came to her, she was polite, but she was like, "What the heck, Tiffany?"
She charged you.
She charged me because she had to essentially reestablish the locks in front, because that's not recommended in those beginning stages. So if you love color, get your hair colored before you get your locks installed. Exactly. So the maintenance, now that my hair is very mature, I don't like touch up my edges with like retightenings in between appointments. I don't have to braid and band. I don't have to do any of that stuff now because I've had locks since 2018. They're grown, adult, mature locks. So the maintenance process is significantly easier than when I first got them done. Next question. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but we can just, make sure that we reiterate how to handle slippage, breakage, or other Sisterlocks issues. So in those initial stages, and by the way, if you don't know what slippage is, she mentioned it, but just to clarify, it's when your locks start to unravel. So they're slipping out of that locked pattern and they're just kind of becoming like loose hair. So in the beginning stages, to avoid that, she already mentioned braiding and banding, staying away from swimming or overly like letting your hair get sweaty when you're working out, and staying away from heavy products that will stop slippage and prevent buildup. And maybe just not manipulating your hair too much either.
Yeah, you don't want to manipulate it much because you don't want to keep putting a lot of tension on your locks. And then too, you might also want to consider how you sleep. Some people, when they sleep on those cotton products, cotton pillowcases and stuff, it may cause some slippage. It also might cause you to get lint in your hair. You can use that device for whether the beginning or the end. So we all need to be mindful of lint in our hair.
Yeah. So would you recommend probably getting like a satin or a silk pillowcase?
Yes, satin I personally have never had to use it because I don't have that problem. But again, everybody's hair texture is different.
Yes.
And so if you notice that that cotton is starting to like, because you wear caps or something, then yeah, you want to get something that's satin.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So for a while, I was using a bonnet. I was so used to wearing a bonnet as a loose natural that I was also doing it when I had my Sisterlocks. And I tend to kind of run a little bit hot at night. So I found that I was sweating a lot, having to wash my hair more often. And, when I have my pipe cleaner curls in, they would come looser because it's like I have all that moisture and that humidity in my head. So I stopped using a bonnet, and I essentially just now keep my hair in a bun when I sleep, a high bun, and I just use a satin pillowcase. Is that pretty much? And you said you don't even use that. You just sleep free.
I just sleep free now. I just put some ponytail in my head and go to sleep. And something else that we didn't think about when we were talking about the initial ones is that when you take a shower, you want to wear a shower cap.
Yes. So
you didn't think about that.
Yes, that is such a good point, because in my mind, like when I used to get braids, I wouldn't wear a shower cap because it was a different situation. But with locks, I wear a shower cap now, especially in the beginning stages, like she mentioned. Yeah. But even now, I wear a shower cap because I keep my hair curled from my pipe cleaner curls. By the way, if you haven't seen that video, I will link it. I've posted 2 tutorials from start to finish on how to get your hair curly and just give you a lot of volume. But because that's my preferred hairstyle, if I'm not using the shower cap, the humidity and mist and water from the shower is not going to allow my curls to last for the 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks that they typically do. So all of these things can help with slippage and other issues that you can run into when you have locks. And last but not least, the top products for maintaining healthy Sisterlocks. So go ahead and elaborate on that, Melissa.
And if you want to maintain healthy sister locks, follow the instructions of your loctician. Because it starts with your loctician first, because your loctician is going to have to make sure that their technique is on point so that you have uniformed, healthy, strong locks, that your base stays strong. And then if you follow their instructions from your loctician performing the correct techniques on your hair, so when you're at home and you're eating healthy, you're drinking plenty of water, because the whole idea is to make sure that the base of our hair stays strong. Because as your locks start to grow, they get heavy. And if they're pulling on that strands of hair, then it's going to cause you to lose locks. So people, of course, with finer hair, in order to keep their hair healthy, they need to go more frequently and get their locks retightened so that base is reinforced.
Yes, and in terms of the specific products, especially in the beginning, Sisterlocks has a whole line of products that most locticians would recommend, especially as your locks are maturing. So the shampoo that we use while we're braiding and banding in those early stages is not the typical shampoo that you're used to, that's super lathery and that has like all these chemicals in it. It's a very natural shampoo that doesn't even like really lather up that much, but it gets your hair clean in it.
Because it's a purifying shampoo.
It
cleanses
and purifies, and it obviously, by virtue of how it is, kind of encourages the locking process.
Because it's meant to strip that oil from your shafts so that your hair can actually bind to itself, to each other.
You see, guys, there's science. There's science behind Sisterlocks. We're going to do that part 2 of that video, because I really do think it's just so interesting that the founder spent so much time thinking about every single aspect that goes into achieving this look. So yes, in the beginning, they have a whole range of products between the shampoos. I think there's like a mist for dry scalp.
There is. They have a conditioner that you can get. So when the first beginning phases, when you first come out of the hair care products that you're going to use, you're only going to use your shampoo.
Yep.
That's it. All you need is your shampoo, and get you a spray bottle of water for when your hair gets itchy and dry. That's all you need is water and that shampoo. You're not even going to use conditioners yet. Because again, that conditioner is kind of like a moisturizer.
Yes.
You don't want that. You want your hair to be as dry as it can be so that those shafts start kind of bonding and connecting with each other. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and again, that's going to be pretty different. That might be a huge, if you're like me with your loose natural hair and you are a product junkie, that's going to be an adjustment for you when you get Sisterlocks. It's going to feel almost like unnatural, like I should be doing more for my hair and for it to be healthy, but fight the urge to be uncompliant, because it's very freeing. It saves you money. We've talked about that in the past, about how you can ditch having to spend all this money on hair care products, but certainly keep that in mind, that it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment in those early stages. But once your locks do mature, you do have a little bit more flexibility in the products that you can use. So
now you no longer have to use that clarifying shampoo. They actually have different, like a salon shampoo. They have a tea tree shampoo that you can use. They actually have cream moisturizers that you can use once your hair gets mature.
And I ain't even gonna lie, I use the VO5 cheap shampoo from the Dollar Tree. It smells good. It gets my hair super clean. It lathers. I don't have to worry about spending, because the Sisterlocks line is a little bit more expensive than your traditional products, just because it is so specialized and so specific to what you need in those early stages. But now that I don't have to worry about that, it certainly is very helpful being able to just use whatever products that I want on my hair. I still don't really use conditioner. You said that you do, right, Melissa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't use conditioner, and I still don't use any oils. I don't really suffer from dry scalp often, but back when I would get my retightenings back in Michigan when it was super dry, sometimes my loctician would spray a little bit of I think it was like water with essential oils in it, just to kind of keep my scalp moisturized.
And I don't do it a whole lot. And like right now, because it's winter, I do deep moisturize cleansing on my hair, but I probably maybe only do 2. And then that's about it. I'm telling you, you don't use a whole lot.
And when you say 2, you mean like 2 deep conditioners per year?
Yeah, over winter. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Over winter time, I might deep condition my hair twice, where I literally wash my hair, and like I said, they have a cream moisturizer that you can use. You'll dilute it with some water, and then you just kind of mask it on your hair. I even will put the little shower cap on my head for about an hour or two, and then I go wash it out.
Does your, because I've never, literally, not even for one day, have ever used conditioner. Do your locks feel different after?
Oh God, yes.
Oh, Melissa, do you think maybe I should start trying to put conditioner in my hair?
Try it. But if you're not seeing anything, I just know in the winter my hair gets dry and it gets crunchy, and I usually have soft hair.
Okay.
And so I notice a difference that I need hydration in my hair, so that's why I do it.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you're saying for me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, if I haven't been doing it all this time, I don't want to start trying to do extra stuff and messing up the routine.
Because somebody else is doing it. No.
Right. Because as we've even talked about several times in this video, everybody's hair is different, and that's similar to your lock journey might look very different for each particular person. So yes, is there anything else that you want to add, Melissa, in this video?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay.
But I am excited about doing the science video.
Yes, stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss when that video comes. Let me know down in the comments if any of these questions that we answered surprised you, or if you want to know anything else from us in the next upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.